Welcome back to another video. Today we are reacting to Film Theory. Hey Fallon, you're doing it wrong by the Film Theorist. So if you want more quality content like this, please smash that big red subscribe button, smash that like button, and hit that bell so that you get notified once these videos come out. And also check out the description, because there are a lot of links in the description that you should check out, because these are very interesting links that I think you're interested in. But if you're not, you don't want to click those links, don't. So yeah, 3, 2, 1, let's react. Fallon, you're doing it wrong. What is Jimmy Fallon doing wrong? Is he doing shows wrong? I don't know. Alright.
Colbert, Jimmy 1, Jimmy 2. I've called you all here for one important reason, so listen up. You can't shoot any more late night shows here in our beautiful, overly expensive studio. So congratulations, you're all YouTubers now. Meet your new audience, boys.
They're all YouTubers
hey there,
now.
Sport, you like jokes about politics and Karen?
Sit up and play Fortnite.
Jokes about politics. Is that what Stephen Colbert is about? Just jokes about politics? I mean, he does make jokes about politics, but I know that's what he's all about.
Man.
He wants to play Fortnite.
Uh-oh.
He wants to play some
It's
Fortnite.
Film Theory.
Film
with
Theory.
Stephen Colbert.
Wow.
Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Kimmel. Generic image of a man.
Generic image
of a woman.
Wow.
And of course, your host,
Great.
a two-dimensional cutout.
Two-dimensional cutout, vaguely animated to have emotion. This is just what Film Theory is now.
Animated to have
A
emotion.
talk show.
Matt Pat. Hello, Internet.
Welcome to
Film
Film
Theory.
Theory.
We're living in strange times, aren't we? Handshakes aren't
Very
cool anymore. We're not just allowed, but
strange.
encouraged to be wearing face masks into places you probably shouldn't be wearing face masks normally, like gas stations, banks, and liquor stores. And most strangely of all,
What's
late
that
night
joke?
television shows
I don't
are
get
doing
it.
something unheard of. They're being forced to change. Let me give you a little bit of backstory here. It was 1954 when Tonight starring Steve Allen, the precursor to The Tonight Show, first hit the national airwaves. At the time, the concept of a
1954.
lot.
I heard like in 1954 there were only like 48 states, and now there's 50 in the U.S. So the Tonight Show has been on for a long time with a lot of hosts. Now it's like James Corden, Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Lily Singh. Lily Singh is now there. Conan, is that it? There's probably a lot more. There's that other guy. It's like Noah. Is his name Noah? I don't know. There's a lot of talk shows out there. I don't know what's your favorite. I mean, because the three main favorites are Kimmel, Fallon, and Corden. Those are always the three favorites. I mean, maybe Conan is in there, Stephen Colbert, but not Lily Singh and like that Noah guy. I don't know. I don't memorize all the names of talk show hosts.
Live late night show was so fresh, so new that Steve Allen basically had to explain to his national audience what they were seeing in the first episode.
That was actually a live picture you were looking at. That was not movie film. You were actually seeing Times Square here in New York City.
But audiences in 2020 need no explanation. Mostly because they've been watching the exact same formula for 64 years. This is that 1954 broadcast.
From New York City, the National Broadcasting Company presents Tonight, starring Steve Allen.
And this is from this year.
From 30 Rockefeller Plaza here in New York City.
It's not the same formula every single episode. And it doesn't change. It doesn't change because that formula attracts so many people. And maybe there's some people they're bored of it. They're bored of that formula. But when I see some talk shows, I always have those clips. I don't actually watch the whole thing. I mean, on YouTube, there's probably not a whole thing, but there's only these specific clips because I don't want to watch the whole episode for just one thing. I only watch the clips on YouTube.
Show starring Jimmy Fallon.
Wait, hold up. Let's try this, actually. This might be fun. Let's turn the screen black and white. Squeeze in that aspect ratio. Add a bit of that old-time graininess to it. And lastly, Yossi, Audio Master. Let's crank up that treble and turn down that bass. Now let's play this whole thing again.
From 30 Rockefeller Plaza here in New York City, it's the Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon.
Ha! It is just like the 50s. Sure, we
That's
have better
the
cameras and
same
sound,
thing.
but the formula is still the same. Then, just as it started to feel like late night shows would continue doing their best impressions of a 50s era variety show for the rest of eternity, everything changed in the blink of an eye. Early March 2020, with social distancing orders in California and New York, many late night shows announced that they would continue shooting episodes in studio, but without the studio audience present.
Right now are some members of my staff. Hi, guys.
Almost immediately thereafter, many of those same shows changed their minds and elected to suspend production outright in order to protect their staff and crews, which makes sense because the staff and crews of these late-night shows are massive. I mean, get a load of how many people are credited on Colbert's January 10th episode alone. If you're counting along at home, that is 23 writing credits, 39 producer credits. Who knew that it took that many people to rip off YouTuber formats?
Yeah. It takes 39 people to do a let's play. Oh my. Oh my.
Bundy Beach.
Bundy Beach.
Bundy Beach.
Bundy Beach.
Bundy Beach.
Then, one by one, the late-night shows all re-emerged in their quarantine forms. These episodes had severely pared-down production values and were shot from the hosts' homes while in quarantine. Celebrity guests started dropping by via video conference. The hosts' own families stepped in as iPhone camera operators and recurring guests.
At home, my wife is a cameraman. Winnie's the musician.
Camera woman.
Thank you so much.
My crew is still one of my children. Tonight, it is my son, John.
Which, can I just say, is a bit curious, because all the big late-night programs are union productions. Bit skeptical that Colbert's college-age son is a card-carrying member of Yahtzee, and I doubt Fallon's kids, who are getting a bunch of screen time these days, are up on their SAG-AFTRA rules, or that COPPA is okay with the amount of work they're putting into their productions. But hey, you know, I could be wrong. The point here is that gone went the slick sets, gone went the studio bands, gone went the couches and desks and audiences required to laugh at every mundane, tired joke. Overnight, late-night talk show hosts got turned into low-budget YouTubers. And as any homegrown YouTuber will tell ya, it means that they've been left with no safety nets to protect them against the biggest fear of them all, the cringe.
Cringe. Oh no, this is gonna be the best part.
There's been a lot of cringe. So today, as a homespun YouTube...
That's a cringe right there. That face is the biggest example of cringe. Because if you look at that face, you already recognize who that is. But it's just more cringy and cringier throughout the second.
Myself, I'm analyzing their performance. Which late-night celebrity turned out to be the best YouTuber?
Wow.
What lessons did they need to learn while working out of their at-home studios? And what does all of this mean for the future of late-night programming? Outside of me never getting invited onto one of these shows ever.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the same thing after this situation is happening.
Because everyone's going to be bitter at me about this episode. Sorry, not sorry. Before we dive in, a little housekeeping up front. There are a whole lot of late night shows out there, so I'm going to have to limit today's conversation to the following list. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, James Corden, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, Conan O'Brien.
Seth Meyers? Oh, and Trevor Noah. Alright. That's,
Trevor Noah. We're only going to look at major U.S. late-night shows that have transitioned to doing quarantine version episodes of their show from home multiple times per week. So if a show isn't producing new episodes at the moment, or only did one episode a week to begin with, well, then they're...
What's that? John Oliver. Yeah, John Oliver has a talk show too.
Not part of today's discussion. So with all that out of the way, I've taken the liberty of pouring through hours and hours of these new low-budget quarantine version episodes. And here's what your friendly neighborhood YouTube coach Matt Pat is seeing across the board. First off, I am seeing some really unflattering camera angles.
Yeah, and also bad quality. Like, what is that? I probably have a better camera than Jimmy Fallon here, because that doesn't look like good stuff, good camera. Does my camera look good? Hopefully it does.
There, people. You are professionals. You are adults. You are trained in this industry. We're trying to decrease the number of chins, not increase them, people. So let's get that camera eye level or higher.
All right.
Kimmel, Conan, what are you doing? We understand that you don't have wardrobe, makeup, or hair departments at the moment. Nobody is faulting you for that. But you can absolutely get your camera up at eye level. Points off for both of you, gentlemen. Next up, let's talk delivery. There's something to be said for sticking with what you do best, but then again, when you actually see some of these late night hosts delivering jokes the exact same way that they do to a live studio audience, well, that's when the cringe really starts to set in.
No audience.
You're talking to a camera, not a theater filled with live bodies who are forced to react to everything that you say. Seth Meyers is especially guilty of holding for laughs when there's no studio audience present.
The Treasury Department has ordered that President Trump's name will be printed on relief checks, which would be the first time he's ever put his name on something helpful.
Man, there are no laughs coming, my friend. Everyone is always eager to make fun of how frenetic YouTubers are with their smash cuts every few seconds, but there's a reason for that. The internet runs at a mile a minute, and pauses in this universe are used to show that something—
What is this? What is this? I've never seen this Good Mythical Morning episode. Link has rubbed some bacon on its shirt. Red has hair that is not natural to him because it looks like what is
awkward.
This?
Not that something is funny. You let it sit and hang because it's uncomfortable. Memes, graphics, sound effects.
My catch moments after I filled her food bowl. And once again, asking for you to fill my food bowl. No.
These are the things that punctuate jokes and serve as transitions, filling the gaps in where a laugh track would normally be. Granted, delivering a joke to an empty room isn't ideal. I know that as well as anybody. But when you're delivering jokes out of your poorly lit living room, the presentation of your jokes kinda needs to match your surroundings. Points to Jimmy Kimmel for actually recognizing this thing and adjusting accordingly. Back in mid-March, Kimmel was doing mini-logs, basically the exact kind of stand-up jokes that you'd see in a fully produced show and studio, and he was doing it seated at his desk.
Here's something I learned. Did you know that you can make coffee at home for yourself? I even spelled my name right on the cup.
I'm not saying that it's a bad joke. I'm saying that it's written and delivered in a way that doesn't match the medium it's being delivered through. When you see someone face to the camera vlogging to a lens in an unlit YouTube video, there's a certain expectation that the audience has, whether they can articulate it or not, that you're about to do something raw. You're about to go off script, something conversational and unpolished as opposed to fully scripted and crafted. And it seems like Kimmel and his team did eventually get the memo, because come April, he was back to delivering his monologue on his feet, on a homemade set with production values slightly more aligned with his more polished jokes. TLDR, when the camera's not angled up Kimmel's nostrils, everyone wins. The long and short of it is that the medium and the message have to align. Are you doing an up-close handheld vlog style video? Well, then you have to make it raw, unpolished, a bit more off the cuff. Do you need to stay on script? Well, in that case, have it be a bit more polished and presentational. Stand up, find a nice backdrop that serves as a sort of set. You know who's crushing it right now? Someone who is never a late night host. John Krasinski in a show Some Good News, which takes the homespun appeal and fuses it with the polish of a more scripted format. So I gotta give the W of this episode— wait, Some Good—
reportedly sold Some Good News. What? John Krasinski reportedly sold Some Good News following a massive bidding war? John, what are you doing? You have a YouTube channel with millions of subscribers, and you're just gonna just sell it to a massive bidding war. What are you doing? What are you doing?
News was bought by Viacom, and John—
bought by Viacom? John, you're doing a big mistake. Oh my, what are you doing?
Krasinski is no longer hosting, and it's going behind the CBS All Access paywall? That is some bad news right there. Also, real galaxy brain idea there, Viacom. Let's buy this thing that was successful for being raw and organic and homespun and free, and eliminate the host, his family, and—
I mean, why did he, sell it? It just doesn't make sense. Why would you sell your YouTube channel to Viacom? It just doesn't make sense, John. just doesn't make sense. I mean, Viacom trying to buy some good news is like, no, why are you trying to buy that? This is why. And John Krasinski is like, why would you sell your YouTube channel? And everything in this story just doesn't make sense.
And I would guess all of the homemade elements that made it popular in the first place, which, it's worth noting, was also less than 10 episodes, many of which had massive reunions of huge casts for celebrity cameos, which, you know, would kinda artificially inflate those numbers, but you know what, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm sure that people will pay for a show that they were watching for free, that they literally just learned about less than a few weeks ago. Alright, so with that W very quickly turned into an L. Second place goes to Trevor Noah and The Daily Show.
Really?
Unlike his
Trevor
late-night
Noah.
peers, Noah is embracing all sorts of classic, battle-tested YouTuber tactics that stave off the cringe. Unlike his in-studio show, Noah's The Daily Distancing Show really has the feel of a YouTube video. For one thing, he freely uses JPEGs and sound effects to aid in his jokes.
While the rest of us are trying to figure out if we can grow tomatoes by planting some ketchup. Spoiler alert, you can.
In fact, the Daily Distancing Show applies all sorts of YouTube-style editing tricks to inject energy. We're talking jump cuts, pushing into tighter angles, doing conversations with yourself as different characters.
People even do it with jokes. Oh my god, Nigerians are funny. Indians do that all the time.
This is the kind of stuff that top YouTubers pioneered on the platform over a decade ago.
First year of being single, I'm damn fine. I do not need no boy to make me happy. Second year of being single.
I mean, this is YouTube 101 stuff here, people. Top YouTubers were doing this in 2008 and in 2013. And, you know, we're still doing it in 2020. And finally, traditional media is like, huh, this is an interesting idea. But of course, all of this is just my opinion, right? What I really want to know is whether the numbers agree with me. If Trevor Noah's doing so great with his new at-home show that riffs on a bunch of YouTube tropes while other hosts aren't, then the numbers would presumably be able to confirm that. So let's look at the Nielsen ratings and gospel stats for each of the little shows on our list. What I'm curious about is how the TV ratings, YouTube views, and YouTube subscriber numbers for each of the shows have fared during the pandemic. To give us a baseline, let's look at each show's numbers at the end of January, immediately before the global health crisis was announced on January 30th. This should give us a sense of how each late-night show was doing on TV, as well as on YouTube back in the good old days before we were all locked in our little prisons. So with those January numbers in hand, let's compare them against the first month of quarantine version late-night shows, March 20th through April 20th. When we crunch the numbers, the heat map looks a little something like this. First takeaway from the data set, none of the late-night show YouTube channels gained more views during the quarantine. In fact, most experienced a significant decrease in total views. That strikes me as...
It makes sense. It makes sense because they're in home. There's no clips of because everything that, if you look at the most popular videos on like these channels, they're all clips of episodes that they filmed. So it makes sense because there's no clips now. They're in home and the production is just worse. So it makes a lot of sense.
Super weird because YouTube has been getting a ton of traffic during the quarantine. So much so, in fact, that YouTube has had to lower video quality on the site in order to handle the surge of viewership.
Really?
Perhaps the quarantine versions of late night shows were a bit too homemade for the subscribers' tastes. Whatever the reason, though, it seems like the kings of late night broadcast are not yet the kings of new media broadcast.
Yeah,
Second takeaway, and I gotta give myself a big old pat on the back for this one, the Daily Show with Trevor Noah is killing it compared to his peers. Their YouTube views have stayed stagnant, but look at that surge in subscribership. During the first 30 days of quarantine, he got 470,000 new subscribers. That's more than any other late-night YouTube channel accrued during that time. And the Daily Show's YouTube channel is much, much smaller than some of the other late-night channels out there. What's more, the Daily Show with Trevor Noah is gaining more subscribers per month in quarantine than they much smaller than some of the other late-night channels out there. What's more, the Daily Show with Trevor Noah is gaining more subscribers per month in in quarantine than they were in January. So no matter how you slice it, the YouTube viewers are subscribing to The Daily Show like they never have before. Most likely because it's the only one of these shows that's actually speaking in the language of YouTube. But of course, that's just YouTube. Surely a show like that wouldn't resonate with broadcast audiences on the TV, right? Wrong. Believe it or not, The Daily Distancing Show saw such a spike in broadcast viewership that the show's total viewers season average jumped 28% in under 3 months. That's right. By shooting a low-budget version of the show at home, Trevor Noah and his team have actually improved their television ratings dramatically. Conversely, take a look at the subscription column of our handy heat map. Fallon, Corden, Colbert.
Like, Seth Meyers only gained 80,000 subscribers? Conan 100,000? Really? I mean, James Corden with a good... Alright. James Corden 700,000. Jimmy Fallon 500,000. Stephen Colbert 110,000. Jimmy Kimmel's only getting 200,000 subscribers each month. Oh.
Not only were these shows unable to maintain their subscribership rates, they saw a drop in subscribers during a remarkably high-traffic period of time in YouTube history. On the television side, their numbers either didn't fluctuate at all, or they only saw incremental increases. Nothing compared to what the Trevor Noah show is doing. So the question becomes, what does all of this mean? Why is any of this important? I mean, if a late-night host like Trevor Noah can make the show out of his living room and actually gain ground on his late-night peers not only on YouTube, but in broadcast as well, maybe there are some lessons here that late night shows can take to heart. What might those lessons be? Well, I got some theories. Theory 1, guests won't physically come into the studio as often. When the late night shows did away with in-studio celebrity guests for a month, their broadcast ratings weren't hurt. So maybe it's time to re-examine whether contemporary audiences need or expect their celebrity guests to actually be in studio. Other industries are figuring out that telecommuting can work. Why not late night? Theory number 2, late night shows will see their budgets start to shrink. Networks love saving money. In fact, a big reason why The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon moved to New York after Jay Leno retired was because the show could save $20 million annually on tax credits. And the quarantine has helped highlight a couple of areas where costs could get trimmed. But here's the biggest and most important takeaway. Theory number 3. Digital is indeed the future. We've talked about it for years now about how YouTube is paving the way for entertainment. And I've made no small deal about how I'm pro Team Internet over here. But here is your proof in the pudding right now, traditional media. The numbers don't lie. One of the oldest television show formats in history starts showing better numbers when they started producing like YouTubers. And not just on YouTube, but also on broadcast television. Popular opinion is changing. What people want to watch is evolving. Audiences are looking for something different. Some good news is yet another example of that. The times, they are a-changin'. The question is, traditional media, are you willing to change with it? At the very least, are you just gonna give us YouTubers some respect finally? Because y'all seem to be failing pretty hard when it comes to doing our job. But hey, that
just exists Jimmy Fallon. Yeah, that's accurate. That's accurate. Jimmy Fallon laughs at everything.
Just a theory. A film theory. And subscribe so that my numbers can actually trash the numbers of those late night shows. Guys. That's it. Hit the subscribe button right now. Show traditional media that yes, YouTubers can produce stuff that people want to watch, people want to subscribe to, and that is valuable to me as an audience, regardless of what.
Alright, so that's the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like the video, hit that bell, and check out the description if you want more quality content like this. Thanks for watching, and of course, peace out. Peace. Peace. Really, I'm very surprised that you thought that I was going to end the video. Why did you think that? You know that I'm not gonna end the video, right? There is... Why am I gonna end the video? Just doesn't make sense, alright? It doesn't...